Welcome back, Barry at where stories are always intact. Join the fun, let's all react. Barry acts, that's a fact. One of you little cubs wanted me to react to something else than music. I do react to other stuff other than music sometimes, but I haven't really recently. But you offered to do something scary, so I have 5 true terrifying horror stories animated, but I don't know how many I'm going to react to today, but let's just get right into it. I hope you guys enjoy. Grab your popcorn. Let's go.
This happened to me and my wife a few months after we moved into a new place. This took place back in November of 2018, and actually wasn't even fully resolved until just recently. So back at this point in time,
that's not far away.
Going through some hard times. I was making money through some slightly illegal means and had actually gone to jail for 9 months. I got out.
Don't end up like this guy.
And I had her away from the city. But she knew we had to find somewhere to live close to both of our jobs that were downtown in the city that we were moving to. Since we were starting all over after the legal fees, lawyers, fines, and other assorted debts, we knew we could only afford something super cheap.
Super scary.
Week to week, instead
all
of
that money,
security deposit,
all those charges,
and monthly rent up front. We found a boarding house in our city and checked it out.
That sounds scary enough.
With a shared kitchen and bathroom for everyone.
Having like 5 charges?
We moved into one of the rooms. Our neighbors on the first floor were a 30-year-old lady and her mom. And then upstairs, there was a young guy who moved in the same week as us. And lastly, a young couple that
don't look like a
next
guy.
to the other young guy. In the 3 months that we lived there, the only people we talked to was the young couple upstairs. They seemed similar to us in age and interests, and we just usually talked to them in passing, or maybe on the front porch when we were all out there having a cigarette.
That don't look like a cigarette.
They were nice enough, and they also smoked weed, which me and my wife did as well. And we smoked on the porch together a couple of times. Things were just a-okay until the month of November came, and shit just started to hit the fan, left and right, with this couple who we'll name Jim and Sierra. It started off small. Things like hearing them get into short shouting matches, or one or both of them asking me and my wife to borrow money, or constantly trying to bum cigarettes. One day I came home and Sierra was walking into the house, the same time as me, with 3 guys that I've never seen before, and a case of beer. They party all night and keep me and my wife up, but we end up going to bed around 5 a.m.
Oh, jeez.
A few days later, we are woken up on a Sunday. Me and my wife's only day off to Jim screaming at Sierra, throwing all of her stuff into their front yard.
Yo, what though?
He was calling her everything in the book.
Bro.
You can imagine. And told her to get out of his life, yada yada yada. They argued for like 3 hours and eventually someone picked Sierra up. We had a week of peace and quiet.
She was cheating.
And the next week, she was moved back in. And the fights and screaming were constant.
Of course.
Until one night. It was a Tuesday night. The day
Why do they
before
do
my
that?
birthday.
Huh?
Me and my wife worked that day.
Why do couples
just kind
do
of
that?
lounged around after work. My wife and I ended up smoking some weed around 1 a.m. and we put in a movie to giggle at all night.
Nice.
The whole time we were watching this movie, we could hear Jim and Sierra screaming at each other.
Bro, this Jim and Sierra,
as they moved around upstairs.
Bro, look at him. He doesn't look like a man. He looks like a monster.
After actually making it through the movie without falling asleep from smoking too much, we both noticed that Jim and Sierra had finally stopped fighting.
Oh, man.
We both wanted to take advantage of the quiet, and we laid down and cuddled up to sleep. So we had to go to work in the morning.
Nice.
I was woken up in the middle of the night by my wife, who was shaking me and looking off toward my side of the bed.
Oh, man.
I was so tired and out of it that I thought maybe she saw a big bug and wanted me to kill it. I turn over to get up, and when I do, there is a man standing next to my bed.
Yo!
My nightstand going through my drawer.
Bruh.
And the man has an empty milk gallon in his hand. After rolling over and us locking eyes,
what the?
he stood up from his hunched position and was just staring at me. I kicked my feet out onto the floor, and I sat up on the bed as he started backing up slowly, one step at a time. At this point, I finally realized that it's Jim in our room going through my stuff.
What?
An empty milk gallon.
Bro.
Now, like I said, I was
that is so weird.
I said to him, "What's up, Jim? Why the hell are you in our room, bud?" After a few seconds, Jim asks, "Can I borrow your guys' car, man? Or can one of you take me down to the gas station and back real quick?" Thank goodness for my wife, who was finally fully awake, unlike me, who said, "What?" You broke in our room to borrow our car. No, you cannot borrow our car after you broke into our room at 4 a.m. Now get the hell out of here, you freaking weirdo.
Right?
Surprisingly, Jim leaves. But he doesn't just leave.
Bro.
He sprints out the front door and starts running down the street towards the gas station that he asked us to take him to.
Bruh. What?
Look at my wife and
yo, that guy's so weird.
Our other neighbor from upstairs comes down and says that Jim and Sierra were fighting worse than he had ever heard or saw.
I think
that he hadn't heard any noise coming from the room.
This isn't really scary. It's not really scary.
My wife, who was protective of a fellow female who had to endure similar abuse in the past, told me and our neighbor to go upstairs and check on her. So we go upstairs, and the door to Jim and Sierra's room is shut, but not locked. I knocked and shouted for someone, and there was no answer. Standing side by side, me and my neighbor turned the doorknob and pushed the door open. On the back wall of the room, Sierra was laying on the couch, face up.
Oh, no.
We also noticed that the floor and ceiling had been hacked up, almost like someone was trying to get inside of the floor and ceiling for some reason. Me and
he
my
was
neighbor
trying to
walked
get
over to
rid
the
of
couch,
the body,
thinking that Jim had knocked her unconscious.
Oh,
but when we made it to her, we realized there was blood on the couch and thin blood streaks on the wall, and blood all over her.
Horrible.
I can't speak for my neighbor, but as soon as I looked at her, I thought,
this must be
she
true.
doesn't have a face.
What?
The neighbor called the cops immediately, and I was just standing there dumbfounded.
Right.
I heard him tell the police that Jim had smashed his girlfriend's face in with a sledgehammer, and the weapon was still there.
With a sledgehammer? Imagine going out by a sledgehammer.
To leave the room and wait outside if we felt safe doing so. The cops came and they put an APB out on Jim, and they found him about an hour later running down the street.
Jeez.
After talking to the cops, they said it looked like Jim was trying to find the gas line in the house. And he probably wanted me to take him to the gas station to get fuel to help him burn down the house with Sierra inside.
That's
After
crazy.
all the cops left and everything calmed down, me and my wife looked at each other like, what the hell? We had to call into work the next day because there were 2 news vans out front all morning. And every time we stepped out for a smoke or anything, they were badgering us for an interview.
Oh man, I'd be scared.
That'd
scare me if they come up to me.
Newspaper. And a 1-minute segment on the local news channel.
Oh man,
but yeah,
he kind of looks like
face to face
the Death Note guy.
Right after
the
he killed
Death
his
Note
girlfriend
demon
in the same house I was in.
Well, that was a trash story, but there you go. That was a flop story. Wah. That was trash. That was trash. So I'm going to try to find a better scary story for next time. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want more, let me know in the comments below. This has been Bear with the React. If it ain't a react to a bear, that ain't a react at all. Screw!